What's up, nerds? My name is Kinsey Isaac, reproductive health education writer for digital science communication platform, Those Nerdy Girls. For 5 minutes of your time every 28 days, I hope to make you more comfortable with your body through uncomfortable conversation. What? How does that make any sense? Am I safe here? Who are you? Here's the thing. Despite all of us and literally every member of the animal kingdom having some sort of complex reproductive system, broader society has made conversations surrounding reproductive wellness taboo. And a key reason for this is the subtle assumption many of us have that the only reproductive process that's relevant to all of us is the private activity of sex. Other processes, like the menstrual cycle, are seen as physically and sometimes even spiritually unclean and are therefore forcefully crammed into the margins of mainstream conversation for the women to deal with coyly and without inconveniencing everyone else. As a woman should, right?
Right? Wrong.
Contained within that mindset are tons of fallacies that are held by people with and without periods. Fallacy one: yes, sex is a completely private activity, but it's also a matter of public health. It can and should be joyful, liberating, and an expression of care, but it can only meet those three surprisingly high criteria if you're also safe. And safety often involves a lot more than you think it does. We'll get into all of that very soon, eventually. Fallacy 2. This should go without saying, but menstruation is a natural process that is not inherently unclean. Menstruation might feel gross or even shameful to people who menstruate, in part because there are so many barriers to the knowledge and products needed to navigate the metaphorical and literal pain in the ass that's your period. Don't believe me? Think of it this way. You can't fully tell with my braids, but I have type 4 hair. For all of you non black folks out there, that means that my hair is very tightly coiled. It has very defined curls, but you have to zoom in on my strands to see them. Now, because of my hair type, I've been surrounded by narratives my entire life about the inferiority of my hair, not just through popular media, but in conversations with loved ones too. While there's absolutely nothing wrong with straightening your hair to make it more manageable and look the way you want it to look, my personal motivation for relaxing my hair at the ripe age of 9 is because I thought that my natural hair wasn't meant to be nurtured, but rather tamed like some sort of wild animal. I can say with full confidence that if there was more awareness of and access to natural hair care products instead of a seemingly relentless push for straighter and purportedly prettier hair when I was coming up in the mid 2000s, I wouldn't have seen my hair, which is literally just a natural element of my being, as something to be clinically tucked away or straightened to submission. But when sexism, classism, and in this case racism, join forces to impact the way the market caters to different hair types, then of course you begin to attach shame to your hair. Well, the exact same thing goes for menstruation, which, by the way, can incur social and economic costs in more ways than one. And when something is made especially difficult to access or understand, it's part of our human nature to question whether it's meant to be accessed in the first place. But of course, menstrual products are meant to be accessed. About half the global population will menstruate in their lifetime. The fact that we might question whether we deserve this access is a prime example of menstrual injustice. Just like the hair growing on our bodies, menstruation is natural and morally neutral. Male and masculine centric society may try to convince us otherwise, but the science is the science, and at Those Nerdy Girls, we're committed to facts. Finally, fallacy 3. If you think that menstruation is solely a woman's work, then consider this. Not every woman menstruates, and not every person who menstruates is a woman. Now, don't hear something that I didn't say. Menstruation can be experienced by a female of childbearing age who has a uterus. Plenty of women do indeed menstruate, and in fact, I can guarantee that you know plenty of them who do. But transgender women, women who are postmenopausal at any age, as well as women who have had reproductive organs removed for health purposes, may not menstruate. Likewise, transgender men are totally capable of menstruating too. You know what? Scratch that. It's all a bit complicated, and it affects such a tiny portion of the population that there's really no point in bothering with all of that, right?
Right? Wrong.
Not very many people are exempt from these assumptions. You likely grew up with them, but a refusal to outgrow them is exactly how we end up with policies and practices that enable things like period poverty, gender exclusive healthcare, and highly misguided, if even existed, sex ed curricula. I promise that we'll touch on each of these things in due time, but talking about these things should really only be a setup for reforming the ways that we think about menstruation and act in the interest of those who menstruate. Not only is this video series for education, it's for community care, it's for advocacy, it's whatever you need it to be, whether you menstruate or you know, love, or have sex with someone who does. Come explore with me how everyone has a stake in the conversation about menstrual justice. I'm sure I'll need your help along the way as I figure out what to talk about every month. Please be sure to like and comment on this video, subscribe to both this channel and the Substack for those nerdy girls, and follow those nerdy girls on social media. Stay safe, stay well, and remember, we're all in this together because we have to be. A rising tide lifts all boats.